How do you practice towards not using
Okay, yeah. The key is that the water usually don't stay on top of a clay. If you saw a lot of people using the sponge and then pour water here. The water is gonna go here and then go down to the drain, to the splash pan. So the key is that if you don't find that slip, you don't find any lumps, you can put it back to work. Okay? And then when you are using the water, usually this is what I do. Okay? Put my hand in the bucket and then just touch it up. Okay, touch up the surface. That's all you need. Okay? And if you're dry, touch up. You don't need to kind of scoop a lot of water. And if you put too much water on the surface, you are actually weaken the wall. Okay? The wall has been absorbed too much water. And once you are doing a very too many times of pouring, the wall is not standing up because it absorbs too much water. So cut down the limit of use of the water, or use the water more efficient. That's my idea for you to get like here, to get a slip up and then just coat it back. And also when you are throwing, I saw a lot of people when you're centering use that to kind of push the clay. Actually, don't do that. Okay, don't do that, because when you have a lot of larger area touch the surface, first it's less efficient. Second, it creates a lot of friction. When you have a lot of friction, you kind of pour out all the water, and then pretty soon you're gonna need to add water more. Okay, so try to curve your fingers or use a smaller area to just lift. Okay, that way you will have less friction. Less friction, you add less water or less slippery. Okay? And also, again, for efficient of throwing, why the point pressure is more efficient than the larger pressure? Let me explain it. Okay, I put a bag here, and then put a very sharp tool here. Both, I put a bag of clay, or maybe 25 pounds. Which one you feel hurt? The needle, right? Because smaller area, you create more pressure. So if you are using the hand, you are using a larger area touch, you are less efficient. But when you try to move the clay, you see that I'm curving my fingers. First, it's more efficient. Second, you create less friction.
So there's a gap when you do it?
Yeah, there's a little gap. Yeah, there's a little gap. Okay, like pushing down, and you see that? Actually, this is a gap there. Okay. So pushing down and gap, there's a gap, and I'm using especially the right fingertip. And a lot of people throwing. My centering method is somehow a little bit different from a lot of people, or a lot of instructor. If you are taking the class, the instructor tell you that you do this way, right? Your left hand here, and then use your right hand, because they think the right hand is more powerful, so you will be able to push the clay. But my way is quite opposite. It's different. Okay, I'm using my left hand and push the clay onto my right hand. Okay? So this is what I do. This is my left hand. Okay? Push and then push the clay there. And then what I'm doing is the right hand is there. Okay, so that pressure pushing it, and the right hand is doing the compression, especially the right fingertips. Okay, the right fingertips. This right fingertip is very powerful. Okay, like I explained in palm pressure. Okay, so it will be more efficient than you do that, because when you're doing that, you don't get to use your left fingertip. Why? Because the wheel is going this direction, and this is against it. So you have to use this part to do it instead of the tip, right? And then when I'm doing the opposite way, the right fingertip is actually doing the job of moving the clay. Okay, so it will be more efficient because my wheel is spinning in this direction, so it's following. Okay. So that's the centering. Okay. And now digging a hole first. I'm using my right thumb, and then left thumb is kind of helping to compress it. And just do a small opening here. And then I don't usually do this. Use both thumb and take it all the way, because this way you don't control the wall. It's gonna end up with losing control. Sometimes it's not centered. So when I'm digging deeper, actually I'm using my left hand and drill this way. So this is my left hand and drill in this way. Okay, and don't just use one hand. I'm just showing you what my left hand is doing. Okay, so it's going down here and then kind of forming like that. You don't curve finger like that. Okay? Forming, so using the pad of your fingers to compress it down. Of course, all the finger has different lengths, so once you go there, you might want to kind of slightly move around so get the hole a little bit more even when you are digging. So just slightly move around there when you're digging. But the important thing is, when you drill, you see where's my right hand? I'm holding there to support it, so when I'm drilling, I'm still compressing the wall. That's the most important part, so that you don't lose your center. Get the sleeve and then put it back to work, and then keep on going. And you see that my right hand is connecting here to the splash hand to my left. So the right hand is very stable. The left hand is connecting to my right hand. And you want to take it all the way down to the right thickness. I would say about maybe 3/8 of an inch or even half of an inch, depending how thick you want to give your bottom. If you're not sure, just get a needle tool and then to check it. For throwing a ball and for making a cylinder, it's a little bit different. If you don't make a ball, make sure that you open your inside a little curve. But if you're making a cylinder, make sure that the bottom floor is flat and then straight up. Okay. So I'm making a cylinder, so my left hand is moving out. Once I got to the right thickness, I'm using my right finger to slowly pour the clay and spread it out. And in the meantime, my right hand is still doing the controlling. Spread it out. So everything is connecting. So you see that after I open my hole, the wall is still very stable without wobbling. And go back there and do a little bit more compressing on the bottom. And do it a couple times. This is the water tube. Go there from the center. This is the center point. You don't cross over. If you cross over, your fingers against it, so you could catch the clay. So go from the center and then slowly move out, and then you can go back a couple times. Okay. That's the fingertip for compressing the base. Go, push, and slowly out, and then slowly come back. And for you to lift it up without having too much clay build up in the base corner, my suggestion for you is when you open, you go a little bit indentation, go a bit wider. Okay, because if you don't go a bit wider, you're gonna end up with inside corner. You're gonna have a little curve there. So that's a lot of clay build up in there. So if you go a little bit indentation, you get to use a lot of clay to you try to lift it up. So that's when I'm opening, little indentation here. See that? Right there. Okay. And since my clay is small, so I'm gonna do the same thing like I did, throwing the little things that I'm picking up from, just using my left hand and hold it and lift it up. Okay, so I'm gonna pinch here. This is my left hand, okay? But you don't do only one hand. Okay? Again, hold it there to help. Okay, use your right hand to help it, and then you just raise the wall slowly, but surely to move it up. Yeah, that's initial lifting. Just one is small, then one is small. When you have larger amount of clay, then you do a little different. Okay. That slip is good. You can put it back to work. Still lots of slip there. You can put it over the surface. And I'm going to compress it so the cylinder will be narrower to color the clay in. You can keep on pushing the corner in, okay? So your base will be smaller. If you want to make some narrow piece, you can open a bit wider, but later on you can just squeeze the base. So from here, I'm just using the fingers, okay? These fingers, and just hold it, and left hand is helping to support it, and just squeeze it. So you see that I'm moving the clay in. Slippery before my next move. Okay, now the wall is tall, so I could not use my left thumb and that method to grab the clay and lift it up. But I still want to do the same way. So what do I do? Could using my left thumb. Instead, I'm extending my right thumb. So it's kind of doing like that. Thumb, yeah, right? So, and then pinch and grab the clay and move it up. If you could extend your thumb, just do like what I do. Stabilize, okay, one of the S, important. Stabilize it, and then first, my inside finger is gonna push out. So you see that there's a little belly here. And then actually I'm going to fit my thumb right there underneath of the belly. And then slowly pull and push it up. Okay. And the finger, my arm, you see that my elbow is using attached to my body, and do that and lift it up. Okay. So first belly out, and then put my thumb there underneath. And you don't need to go all the way. Sometimes when you go all the way, your elbow might be very awkward, because when you're making something very tall, it's very awkward. So you can leave about an inch and a half without going up, and then you can change your position. Like just pinch here and then slowly squeeze it up. First, I will do a little collar here, so the whole cylinder is the same width. And then when I color, this part is a bit thicker, and I'm just going there and focus that part and lift it up. And compress the rim. So that's the pouring up, and then slippery again. That especially very good for putting on the inside. If you use water, where does the water go? There, right? So you have lots of water accumulating inside the paddle. That spot is very weak, because that's too much water there sitting there for a long time. So instead, if you put a slip, and then you just grab the slip, just you toss it in, right? And then after you reach to the bottom, and then just go and scoop it up in your fingers, and then you slowly coated on the inside of the wall. Okay, so you go there and scoop up the slab and then you coat it on the inside of the wall. Okay. Right, one more time. First, barely out and put my thumb underneath and give about half an inch or 1 inch. Then it down a bit. Okay, so that's the cylinder pouring. Let's see here. That is tall enough. I'm going to put the texture again on the surface. Okay, barely. So again, put the paper on the right hand side, right, and then you roll. Make sure you stretch it so you don't have too much wrinkle on the surface. Right. And you push that in. And you can use that as a glue. Right, you glue it on so the paper is sticking. And like I told you that I would like to put 2 layers of paper instead of 1. Okay, one more time. You want to stretch it so the paper, you don't have a wrinkle on the paper. Tuck this in here and a bit of slip.
Why is it helpful to have 2 layers?
Why you want to use 2 layers? Because I find out one time that I'm using on a 1 layer paper, I could never pull it out. Because it's very tight, especially true when you have something that is very tall. That's a lot of friction. It's very hard to pull. So, yeah. Hmm? Maybe that's true, but it's when you have something that very tall. After you color, that clay is very tight, and it's hard to pull it out. So. For maybe smaller one layer should be enough, but for a tall one, you might want to put 2 layers of the paper. Okay. By the way, forgot to tell you, maybe this part is you got lots of wrinkle. So maybe you might want to soften it a little bit. So when you put it on, you don't have too much of newspaper wrinkle there. Right, so let's drop in. After I color in, this might be too tall, so I'm going to chop it up a bit. So when I color that, the clay is going to increase. So I might want to add a slippery, and again start from the base. using a larger area so you don't put too much of the finger mark on it. Slowly push up, so you slowly release the air. Okay. One other thing that might be helpful for you, if you cannot make your cylinder thin enough, okay, if you have a hard time to pour a very thin cylinder, your cylinder might be too thick, you could actually trim it before you put the texture. This is what you do. It's called wet trimming. You trim it wet. So you want to use this tool, okay? This tool is good for wet trimming. So like here, I have a little bit more clay there, right? I don't want to have such a thick piece there, right? So I'm trimming it, but make sure that when the clay comes out, you want to pour it, otherwise the clay stick back. So after the clay come out, you use one other hand to pour out the clay. So you see that I'm reducing the thickness. Okay. So that is one other way that if you could not make your wall thin enough, you could do that. Okay. It's very good. Okay.
I had a question. When
Yes.
you were coloring for around the tube, did you use a slower wheel speed than when you were coloring when you were making?
Yeah, I use a slower speed. Yeah, because usually that the cylinder is not in a very good center, so you have to do it slowly. Slowly push it up.
So when you place this tube inside the clay, how do you center the tube? Because sometimes it could be a little bit off.
Yeah. Well, just do as much as you can. Yeah, yeah. And don't make your hole too wide. That's the key. Okay. If your hole is too wide, then you have more wiggle room inside. But if your hole is like maybe a quarter of inch or 1/8 of an inch, you're gonna end up with pretty standard inside. When you are making your cylinder, don't make it too wide. So you can use a caliper to measure. And this is the width. So when you make your cylinder, it's about the width.
Do you think the clay when you were throwing the clay will actually center the tube?
The clay will center the tube? You mean when I'm pushing it up?
Yeah, when you were pushing it up.
Well, it's going to be built around the tube. So yeah, you push it, it's building around the tube. And if somehow the wall is not evenly thrown, you could use the same method I just showed you. Remove a little clay. So your wall will be nice, even. Okay, here's another tip, another trick for you. Okay, it's very helpful if you cannot pour your wall very even. Okay. Right, so that's the cylinder and insert. I think this is very nice, that the wall is quite even.
Always nice.
Well, take your time, yeah, don't rush things. Pottery making is like, it's like meditation, so you don't want to rush things. Slowly do it, okay? Let me change another rack. Yeah, it's nice that this blocks is from MKM. It's a manufacturer. They are selling a lot of this, and they supply me free samples. So help to promote their work, their stuff, and also selling it to you too. And it's also very good, nice texture that you got a lot of choices. And if you wanted to, you can make your own. If you want to challenge yourself, make your own out of clay. Okay, out of clay. I forgot to use the metal rib to do the final. So there's a little bit of clay stick on. You don't have too much slip on the surface. So if you could use a metal rib to remove as much slip of the surface as possible. So 1, 2, 3. So just evenly to finish it up. Okay. So the texture is over the whole circle. Once you go about 2/3, calculate how many more you want to evenly to distribute it. Okay, and then, okay, that's good. All right, so I can actually pour the first layer of paper already. And then slowly peel. Right, it's nice that I don't have any paper stick on the inside of the wall. And now the wall, since I put the paper in already, so the wall is actually a little bit dry. I'm gonna put the slip back to work. I forgot to bring my small sponge. Use a sponge, it's faster. Right, so now you can no longer touch the outside because you want to keep the texture stays the same. So just do the same way that I stretch in the T-ball. Slowly expand it. So for shaping, okay, when you're shaping, your eyesight, where's your eyesight? Where do you look? When you're shaping, where do you look? Do you look here or do you look further? You want to look farther, right? You want to see that curve when the curve is growing. So your eyesight should always look here. If I'm here, I look here. Okay. Usually people, when they are doing the shaping, they put hands right here, right? So they look the hands. No, look at. Okay, you want to see the curve, okay? How the curve grows. I'm pulling the slip from the bottom, the inside bottom flow, and then slowly coat it. So I usually take care of the bottom shape before I finish up the top. And I don't have a smaller sponge, it's too big. There's still a little bit slip inside. Okay. Just to let you know, usually you need to remove all the slip. After I finish, I'm going to cut this open, so it doesn't matter. But if you are doing your own work, remove all the slip before you close the top. Right, so then I'm gonna use the wooden rib to squeeze it. I'm slowly pour the rim toward the center. Okay, my fingers kind of pull and then move it toward the center. Slowly close it, the top. And the rest of the finger is controlling the rim.
Shane, do you need a small sponge? Do you want to wet one like this?
Yeah. Okay. It's a bit too late now, but yeah. Look for my next one. Yeah. From the wide opening, I gradually move it toward the center. slowly hold on my wooden knife and slowly cut it. Again, take the time and don't rush it. I like to use, this is my tool, number 10. So it's thinner, instead of like the needle tool, instead of thickness, sometimes when you are undercut it, tend to push it back, and your clay stick back to the surface. And this one doesn't have the problem. And it's easy to separate the clay. So you see the base is smaller and the whole piece looks much lighter. And if you have your clay on the wheel, and you want to pick it up, how do you pick it up? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I saw a lot of studio teaching the student wire and then put water and then kind of slide it to the side and then pick it up. Right?
And see the water come.
Oh, some people use the little metal sheet, 2 pieces that go underneath and pick it up, right? For me, you don't, okay? I just use my hand. The tip is, when you pick it up, your hand has to be very dry, and the base has to be dry. So that's why when I cut the corner here, this part is dry. So when you pick it up, the clay doesn't slip on my fingers, so it's very easy to pick it up. So the key is dry fingers, dry surface. Okay. When you wire it up, dry fingers, and then you just go there and just keep it below there. All right, without messed up the shape. All right, and you can put it aside. Okay, not a big deal. They're not a big deal. Okay, let me cut it.
Hsin, do you have some tips for how to keep the curve as you're finishing the top part?
Mm-hmm. How to keep the curve before it close completely. If you can, is it I still have put in my finger there to kind of pull it out when I'm using the metal rib to smooth it. Kind of bending my rib a bit, and then my fingers go in there and slightly push out. See that push out, and then using that to smooth the curve. Okay. So you have to do it slowly. Before it closes completely, you want to do it gradually, keeping your curve. Keeping your curve. Don't cut it. Alright. So this is the inside. So that's the wall. Okay? After I stretch it, if you could stretch it, the wall will be thinner. Okay? If you just keep in the cylinder, the wall will be a bit thicker. You stretch it, it's lighter. And you just do a little bit of a trimming, because all the texture you won't be able to do anything to it, but you can trim the foot a bit. That's the bottom. Yeah, like I told you that I have lots of slip there, right? So before you close it, take care of everything before you close it. Okay, so that's the roller texture. Good. We still have like 50 minutes. We'll do my next demonstration.